We're going to go straight into questions, and we'll start with Stephen Goff from the Washington Post.
Hey, Greg, thanks for your time. This being a Concacaf opponent, what is your approach a little bit different? Is the look a little bit different as opposed to playing a Welsh team the other day?
I think this is a great opportunity for some of the guys that aren't as familiar with CONCACAF opponents to get that experience. So for us, we're really happy with this game. We're going to continue to try to build on what we had last game. So it will most likely look similar, but with some slightly different personnel.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Greg, as you look at the arc of these games, then March and June, what are the overall goals you'd like to accomplish and see in this group settling in before the start of qualifying?
So, Ron, one thing I've noticed, especially when you're working with new players or a group that's just forming, is you go through different stages of team development. And with this group in particular, it is more of an individuals looking for their position within the team. And we clearly want to move to more of a team-orientated standpoint as we get into qualifying. It's completely natural what's happening now. A guy wants to come into camp. He wants to make a good impression on the coaching staff. He wants to play really well, and he's focused more on himself. As he gets more comfortable, now he's focused more on his teammates. And we certainly want to get into that stage by qualifying because that's going to be really important. But it's been so fun working with these guys, really fun to see them up close. And, from now until June, or we use this window, December perhaps, January, March, to really get this group prepared to win 2 trophies in the summer and then start out World Cup qualifying.
Next will be Doug McIntyre from Yahoo.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Greg. Just to piggyback on Ron's question a little bit, how much are you impressing upon the group the importance of ending the year tomorrow with a win against a team you're gonna face in CONCACAF? I mean, it's a friendly; it doesn't count for anything. But how much do you want to get a win to end the year on that note? And you mentioned using some different personnel. You've got 2 keepers who aren't playing a ton for their clubs. How do you sort of balance wanting to get time for both those guys, and then maybe giving Zach and the defenders, some reps together? How do you balance those two?
Well, I think that's always difficult. You have a limited amount of time, right? Goalkeepers, you don't normally sub that much, but Ethan hasn't been playing, Zach hasn't been playing, so you'd love to have the opportunity to give them some time. In some cases, you'd like to say that, or you'd move towards the theory that you want to get the one guy comfortable playing with the back line, as you said. So those are difficult decisions, and it's never easy to have those conversations with the players. In terms of this last game, or this game, it may not be our last game this year. Just as a heads up, we may play in December. We're trying to play in December. Hopefully that gets done. But it will certainly be the last time this group is together this year, right? And anytime we're together, what we're stressing on them is, we want to compete to win games. So we're on the field against a CONCACAF opponent, and we want to win the game. And that's what it comes down to. I think we want to end this experience with the group on a high note. And you have the cadence of having played on Thursday. Now you play again on Monday, and you have to travel and stuff. And it's a great, I think, trial period for these guys to experience what that movement's like, and then preparing for another game and having the same intensity to win that next game as well.
Hello, you got me?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So I was asking you about 2 guys. One, Rich Ledesma, his first camp with you, your first chance to work with him up close. What have you thought of what you've seen, and what does he bring that's unique to your setup? The second player, Serginho Dest, he's a player who can play right back or left back at a high level. He's already played both sides for Barcelona. He's done it for the U.S. What do you think of him on either side? Is he pretty similar in terms of his level on either side? Do you lose something putting him on the left to the right? What do you think about that? Just versatility and deciding which place to put him.
With Serginho, I think sometimes you run into the issue on the left against compact opponents that is a tendency to come inside, which is completely natural, come onto a strong foot. And if there's no space, it may be difficult. On the right, he's used to arriving more, something we've been working with him on, getting really deep into the penalty box that he can really create dangerous plays. So on the left, it's, he's ball secure, he's good combining. If you have a winger that stays wide, it could be a really good a combination if he comes inside and you have a winger wide. Regarding Richie, I haven't met him at all. This is the first time I've met him, and he's such a great kid. One of the real highlights of this trip was me meeting him and working with him. Really positive attitude, nice technical player, good in between the lines. And we're going to continue to cheer him on and hope he gets some game time at PSV, because I think he's got a bright future.
Next will be Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Gregg, I'm going to expand on kind of what you talked about with the difficult decision with the goalkeepers. I feel like because you're going to have so few camps comparatively before World Cup qualifying, that maybe that changes the dynamics of choices for teams overall, squad rotation between the two games versus trying to get as much chemistry as you can with the kind of guys who are anticipated to be the starters. Would that be accurate? Does that change how you think about playing time for the group?
I think that's right, Paul. And when you look at it, when I first took over, we're switching guys left and right. This guy, playing here, and it's now, as you're getting towards this time, you start to feel the urgency. When you think about it, this group won't be until March again, and then potentially Nations League, doubtfully Gold Cup. So we're basically going to have 4 more games together after this game. And that's a small number. For us, it is crucial that we get guys playing together, we get guys comfortable with each other, and so that's definitely part of it.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Hey, Gregg. Just curious to get your thoughts on the pool of forwards that have been in this camp, and specifically, Soto and Giacchini. What have you seen out of them? And again, you used a false 9 in the first game. Might you tweak things against Panama?
Yeah, so they're doing okay. I think that it's the level has jumped a little bit, and these are guys that are getting used to it. You see, both of them have. I think they strike a ball really well. Sebastian's movement is good behind the line. Nicholas is a little bit more powerful. So I think they both have some good attributes. And now it's about them just getting used to what we're doing and getting to the speed of this level, because it is a different speed. But I hope they both get the opportunity tomorrow to show. And I think as of now, we would look to switch to a more traditional striker tomorrow, so I'm sure there'll be a chance for those guys.
Next will be Kevin Baxter from the LA Times.
Hey, Gregg, thanks again for doing this. Really appreciate it. This is the game that these guys are going to take back to camp with them, and they're going to think about until March. And you haven't had much time in training, I know. I think universally people were impressed with the performance in the last game. How important is it, given that these guys take this memory back to camp? How is, your performance in the first game was so good. I think universally people thought it was a great performance. Is there room to improve, and is it important that the second game, the last game, be better than the first game?
Yeah, I think there's certainly room to improve. On the defensive side, I think it was really strong, but when we have one shot on goal in a game, that's not enough. And so there to me is a lot of room to improve on the offensive end. I talked before the game about stretching the defense, and I didn't think we did that nearly enough. If we do play with a false 9, it's imperative that the wingers are run behind the line wingers, and I didn't think we got that enough. And as we switch, and sometimes a winger came in, and now Sebastian can run behind the line, and so I just think we can improve. We're focused on competing to win the game, as I said before, and we want to score goals. So we'll see what happens tomorrow, but it's going to be a very similar concept of moving from mid-block to high press and trying to create some chances to score goals.
We have time for 2 more. We will go to Dylan Butler from MLSsoccer.com.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Gregg, for doing this. You touched on a few of the things I was wondering about, but with Reggie Cannon, right? Like the last time you had him in, he was with FC Dallas, and and now he's in Portugal. I know he hasn't, stepped on the field. Maybe it's tomorrow, but in terms of training or even just watching him on film, have you seen anything different from him? Is he a changed player from his time in Europe?
He seems a little bit more comfortable now, and what he's having to do is, he's in a grind, and he's competing every single game, and that's been fun to see the transformation. Not that he wasn't at Dallas, but there's the pressure is a little bit different. You can see how he's experiencing that, but he's embracing it, and we're really looking forward to seeing him play. He's going to start the game tomorrow, so it'll be nice to see him play.
The last question will come from Carlos Justiz from Telemundo.
Hi, Gregg. Good morning here. Good afternoon for you.
Hey, Carlos.
You obviously have a great pool of players with a lot of talent, but I'm going to focus more on what you said about them not having the experience of playing in Concacaf, because you're going to play Panama. Sure, it's a Concacaf opponent, but Wiener Neustadt, it's far from El Rommel Fernandez and the atmosphere. How can you try to incorporate or imitate the most of that atmosphere of playing a CONCACAF team when you don't have the elements that make the qualifiers so complex?
The whole world doesn't have that right now, right? And that is a challenging thing. Even the games against Wales, like you would have loved to have the national stadium full and people there, and unfortunately you don't have that. And we won't have that again tomorrow, and we may not even have that in qualifying. Qualifying may look completely different. And that's just something you have to deal with. And there is a different element to that as well. I mean, the motivation does change when it's an empty stadium. So these are things we're taking into consideration. For us, though, this game is important just to get the group playing together again, to get the group competing and looking for a win.